All right then. I am here with Peter, and Gwen is in close proximity but has nothing to share today. And so I greet you all from whichever corner of the earth and beyond you hail from. And I shall begin by passing the mic over to Peter.
Hello, everybody. Well, what we've just been listening to about psychic attacks is remarkably timely, because that's exactly what I was going to speak to you about now, because I had one myself a few days ago. So this isn't actually a dream, this is something that actually happened to me in the physical. I've written it all down, so I'll read it out rather than try and do it from memory, because I didn't want to miss anything out. Basically, I drove out to visit somebody in a neighbouring town, in fact Bletchley, which is famous for the wartime code breakers at Bletchley Park. That's not real really, but now when I got to the premises of the person I was going to see, there were rows of parallel parking bays. I managed to park in one of them and clambered out of the car. Walking across the pavement, or sidewalk as you would call it, I suddenly seemed to be propelled forward at some speed. It was as if I had been violently pushed, although I felt nothing touch me and there was nobody around anywhere near me. I crashed sideways on into some metal railings running parallel to a building wall and about a foot away from the wall. I ended up on my knees. Yeah, I smashed against my right arm and seemed momentarily... I shouldn't read it, I don't remember, shouldn't I? I smashed against my right arm and seemed momentarily stuck there, unable to move and free my arm, although it was not jammed between the railings, but rather positioned diagonally across them. Can't even read my own writing. I managed to get up in a bewildered state. I'm sure I had not tripped, and even if I had, I do not believe I would have moved so fast and so forcefully into the railings. And needless to say, my arm was horrendously bruised, black as coal for several days, over a large area, and hurt like hell. This event seemed like the culmination of a succession of notably bad days, when nothing much went right, and indeed my office computer, printer and photocopier all decided to play up or break down. The following day was a notably good one, so I guess the attack, for that is what I'm sure it was over. But a few days later, the alternator on my car packed up. I hope things are now back to normal. My feelings about the whole thing, we had been warned that if we accepted the new ideas and started to pursue them, we could expect such things, as we were, to say the least, annoying the dark forces who do not wish us to know of such things. We were also told we could expect protection from the real guides. I believe I was very much protected. I could have broken my arm or even split my head open, which would have been disastrous work-wise in every way, but the real guides managed to prevent such a thing. When I discussed this with Kevin, I mentioned that looking back over my life, now almost 73 years of it, I have always felt protected and looked after by persons or things unknown, whether it be most recently from crazy idiots on the motorway, or a staggeringly near miss from a solid ring of steel or iron that came crashing down from a tall building I was walking past in Luton 4 or 5 years ago. It missed me by about a yard at most and rolled past me before falling to a halt. If that had hit me, there can be no doubt it would have taken me out. As I said to Kevin, this was some considerable time before I came across the new view, and he made the point that the real guides mark us out as potential material long before we actually come across it. For my part, rather than be put off by what was one of a succession of otherwise truly alarming events, I now know why I always felt protected and helped at various crises in my life. And I say, let the cowardly dark forces bring it on if that's what they want to do. Rather than put me off, they have simply confirmed I'm doing the right thing and strengthened my resolve to continue. I thank you, Dwayne, for showing me and all of us what it's all about.
Okay, that's part one, Peter.
Well, sorry, that's all to do with that subject.
Okay, no.
I will say one other thing I didn't write down.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just one point. the chap earlier saying about, I mean, being rude to them, I didn't exactly do that. But when I got back to the office, I shouted at the top of my lungs, "New you," in defiance, and felt a lot better for it.
Yeah, well, the basic idea is just that we're going to get things, and I get them, and the boys are there too. And you know, sometimes we need to be kicked a little bit or whatever. So the basic idea of what you went through is that they shoved you, and you went to your knees. So that's the idea. They want to try and bring you to your knees. That's the old idea where you're before the royalty or the monarchy and you bow and all this stuff. It's to bring you to your knees. So that's the basic idea. Let me ask, is on the real side you had this, but did it affect your physical part at all?
Well, this was on the physical part. I mean,
Oh, it was a physical part.
this
Okay.
really happened to me. Well, I say really, you know what I mean? It physically.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought it was
It wasn't a dream. This actually happened. Well,
okay.
as actually as anything happens, you know what I mean. But a few days ago, on this plane of existence, or whatever you want to call it, and I had a mega black bruise all up my arm for several days. In fact, Gwen took a photograph of it.
Well, the same thing here happened recently to Ava because we're getting closer to the surprise that I'm bringing to this world, and that is that they pulled her momentarily because her husband George was about to fall, and so Ava went to grab him, and at that very moment, they pulled her out out of time for a moment and made her fall on her arm and break her wrist. Ava's been in a cast for 2 weeks and then put her back. So we saw this on the real side, but yeah, that's very, very sneaky. So the thing is that yes, these things are going to happen. And I was last couple of years ago, twice I was in the hospital because of my attack. It was like lightning bolts. Okay. So again, and it all came out as something to better understand and realize too. In other words, the boys are there, and if something really is going to happen, it's going to happen. But they can stop at any time. But also, they want us to have certain experiences. That's just like a soldier. It's you're going out into the battlefield. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be wounded once in a while. You see, that's going to happen because again, it kind of makes you look at things, kind of humbles you, and etc. So through that experience, it's okay. And I've learned through these things myself, and I learned to figure things out for myself because of these experiences and even the hospital experiences. And I've seen the boys do things. I remember several. On the real side, several times Yabel came and I saw big gashes in his face where he took the hit from me. So yeah, but you're going to still sometimes go through experiences, and yeah, for that little moment in time, they can just pull themselves and shove you. They got that one little, again, they got that one little moment, and they take advantage of it. But when they do this, they've committed themselves. And now the boys can do whatever they want. So sometimes the boys are going to let this happen so that they can come in because their karma becomes huge now. And now the boys can come in and justifiably do other things because they committed that karma act. So that comes in too, you see. So, yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Go ahead.
Right. Okay, well, changing the subject a bit, really. It's a dream that I had a couple of nights ago. Probably the most interesting dream I've had over the last fortnight. And it was concerning the fact I was in this big, very posh house. I got the impression it belonged in the dream to somebody I knew, but that's not neither there, really. There's some sort of party going on, lots of people there, and everybody was quite friendly and pleasant. There was nothing untoward about it. But I felt the need for a bathroom, so I went upstairs looking for one, and I happened to go past this bedroom, I presume it was, with a door open, and on a chair in this room there was a massive, great snake coiled up. Beautiful thing. I mean, I know what it was. It was a king snake. It was beautiful, red, black, and yellowy white stripes. And I knew it to be a king snake because of the order of the stripes, so I knew it to be harmless. And I was so I've probably told you before I love snakes, so I went and called somebody to show them it. And when I came back, it hadn't actually gone, but it changed into a cat, a pussy cat, not a big cat. I mean, but it was all the same sort of colours, although patches rather than stripes. I thought it was a bit disappointing, to say the least. But the dream sort of continued. I was sort of looking around this room. I'm sure it was the same room or another room, but a neighbouring room. But there was a big bookshelf. Got one great big long row of books, all like looked absolutely identical. About 30 books, I should imagine, something like that. But I couldn't read what they got something on the spines. I couldn't read what it was, except the very last one, and it just said Peter. And I thought that's very odd. I didn't know why I couldn't read them. But I was sort of thinking that was the end of the dream, basically. But I was sort of thinking afterwards what it was all about. And I came to the conclusion that maybe these books were actually past lives. And as if so, the very last one was the only one I could put a name to. So that was the one I could read. And I'm not sure about the snake, except for the fact that it was a sort of, in a way, a kind of an illusory thing, because in the sense that it was a copy of a deadly snake, a coral snake, except that the stripes are in a different order. And as such, it may be indicating something about, I don't know, about my personality, that people think I'm worse than I am, and I'm perhaps not as bad, and in fact a bit of a pussycat. I don't know. This stuff's, I'll leave it to you.
Well, there's many ways to look at that, but yeah, that's the basic idea. And also, you know, you might say we're in the Cal Kingdom play yard too. So things appear to be a particular, they appear to be mean and fierce, but actually, you know, for the most part, they're really not that. So there's a snake idea, and really it's transforming it to really a pussycat in the books. Yeah, that's very good. And so the books, the others don't have anything on them because you already went through that. And this is the story you're writing now. This is the book or the story that's being written right now, you see. And how it ends is how you decide, but you've already been through those lifetimes, and this can be the final one. But again, it's your free will. You decide how far along you go with this, how you will recognize it, etc. So yeah, that's your observation. It's very good.
Right, okay, thanks for that. Just got one more very short dream just to relate to so as not to use up too much time. I can find it. Yeah, this one was quite an interesting one. Well, not interesting, but interesting, probably boring as hell to everybody else, but interesting to me. I was standing in a big field full of people. There's a lot of people there in the open field in the middle of nowhere, and so I was. People were sort of milling around and talking and not doing anything in particular. And I suddenly noticed flying above us, or hovering above us, flying saucer. And it was a beautiful thing. It was absolutely perfect shape, and it looked a bit like a cowboy hat, Stetson, whatever you want to call it, with a bit in the middle kind of thing. And it's all silver and white, and really attractive looking thing. And it was slowly spinning round as it slowly sort of traversed the sky. And some man next to me suddenly produced a rifle and pointed it at him. I told him not to be so stupid and put it down. And then somebody else said, "Oh, it's just a light reflection. It's nothing else than that. It's just a reflection of the traffic lights and street lights." And I thought, "You stupid idiot." And that was the end of it. So I don't know if there's anything in there of any great import, but perhaps you can let us know.
Actually, no, it's a hint of something else, Peter, that's coming up. And so but what you're seeing is you're seeing the reaction of people. Everybody's going to have a different reaction to it. Some people are going to be defensive, like the guy with the gun, etc. You're going to see different reactions as this event takes place. So that dream is a heads up. You might say it's a prophecy dream. It's a heads up to an event that's coming. Yeah, so you got to finish the movie to see the rest of it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I better watch it again next next week then. I think I'll hand you over to Kevin now because I've taken up enough time. Thanks very much. Speak to you again all soon.
Okay, and if you're out there, Pearce, feel free to share what you will.
Hi, yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I've got some real side experience to share. It was this morning. Well, there's two actually. I had a dream one night this week. I haven't really got no recall of the dream. All I've got is one memory of it, and that was my son talking to my youngest son, and it just the word the all is, and that's one. I think that was Tuesday, Wednesday in the week. But this morning, I was up doing what I normally do, and I had the dogs all in the back place with me. That's where I keep them because I've got puppies I've got a load of puppies in the house. So I keep them out in the back place at the minute. The dogs away from them. And I was just thinking about tonight and about today, and I thought, well, I ain't really got anything to share at the minute. I thought, oh well, never mind. And I thought I was listening to one of the videos what Kevin posted on YouTube today. It's done about 4. But I listened to all of them. But I listened to a particular one, and I was just singing the New Year really, really gently, really quietly, and I had an impression. And I thought, I'll go with this. I'm going to go with it. And I was on a wave, and it was huge. The wave was huge, massive, and it was roaring. It was traveling very, very, really fast, really fast. So I decided to go down. I thought, I'm going to go down. I'm going to go and swim. And I went, and I seen these. It was amazing. There was this experience. It was amazing and wonderful at the same time. It was like I dove down into the water, and I seen these dolphins, and I was swimming with them, and I was but I wasn't like in physical form because I was like stepped out of it as well because I could see. I was like. The only reference I can give it was I was traveling like as fast as like if you see a bullet if like on a movie or anything and it's shot into water and it was like that and I was going like that and I was like a bullet, but obviously I want a bullet, but I was swimming with these dolphins in and out of these dolphins, and I was like making corkscrews around them, you know. I was swimming around them, and then I seen these jellyfish, and I was like. And I thought, I know I'm all right. And it was massive. It was like on the movie Finding Nemo when he sees all them and he goes through them. And I was basically doing that. And I went through all these jellyfish. And I was bouncing off one to the other and just jetting through them all. And it was fantastic, amazing. And then I come to the top. I come to the top of the sea again. And the wave was moving even faster. This bit was unbelievable. It was, and I was like, I became, you know, like that's the only reference I can give it is it's off that one of them Disney Pixar films. Is it that Moana? The Moana, what about the little Polynesian girl and Maui? And it's like the water. It had like the water was alive, and it was like I became the water. But I was in the form of myself, physical, but I was all water, and I was riding a board. The board was water. The board was water as well. It was fantastic, and I was water, and it was just riding this wave, and the sand. It was huge. It was roaring. The wave was roaring. It was massive. It was absolutely huge. I'll slow down talking. It was absolutely huge. This wave. It was like them ones that surfers do. In Portugal, Nazaré, and the wave was just massive, and I was like, I was on it. I was right on the crest, on the top of the wave. But I was like, I was the wave, I was water, and I was the board at the same time. But I want like I was me, yeah, in this body, but I was made of water, and the board I was on was also water, but it was all a part of the wave. And then like it crashed, the wave crashed on the shore, and it was massive. And if you like, the only way I can describe it was like blinding fireworks, golden fireworks. That's the view I had. It was just like fireworks smashing, going off, millions, hundreds of thousands of fireworks, all gold. Like that's the effect of the waves when it hit the shore. And then my view changed, and I was like, I was off somewhere else, and I was basically, it's like, I don't it's like, it sounds crazy, but it was like I rode a rainbow, and it was like a rainbow light, and I just went out. Basically, it took me up to space, physical, and the impression I got, I was like, I was at the very heart of it. I was at the very center of the universe, the whatever it is out there that we see at night, the hologram, and like I was in the sun. I was positioned in the sun at the very heart of the universe, the physical universe, and I just let out this new you, and I watched the sound wave go out, like reverberating through everything that was there, and it looked like you imagine a clock face with all the second hands on it, and then that's how it looked. It looks like it was going out like the second hands, and it was just spreading out and smashing through everything. And then I was on one of the hands, on the second hand, and it was, like I was sitting on it like it was a sledge, and I was just traveling out with a sound wave, and that was it. And it came to like an explosion of light, and that was it. That was the end of the experience. But it was so peculiar because like I was thinking before I had it, and it only must have lasted, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. I don't know, but I was thinking before, and I was thinking, I've got absolutely nothing to tell him tonight apart from the all is reference from the dream earlier in the week. I got nothing to chat about, and it's like just like magic, just like clockwork or whatever. I sang the new you, and I was automatic. It was an automatic, Dwayne. It was just I was there. I was in the way, automatic. I wasn't even. It was like, yeah, I'm going with this impression, and that was it. And it just went with it, and it was just wonderful. It was just fantastic. So yeah, that's what I've got to share for today. Anyone got any ideas, any clue, or just anything to say? I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was wonderful and awesome, and I had to share it. Thank you, Dwayne, for the opportunity and the new presentation, and thank you, Kevin. And that's it, mate.
In the beginning of the experience there, Pearce, you were talking to your son, and he just said, right?
Yeah, just said all is. That's it. The all is.
Well, that's you and your son. Of course, he's your offspring, right?
Yeah.
And you helped create him, right?
Yeah.
That's your little self. And so your personal self had the experience, but it's the real you doing it. But again, then you have the experience. So again, it's kind of a confirmation there. So it's almost like the real you is saying, okay, well, let's have this experience, and the little self is recognizing all is, and so experience. There you go. Self-evident. There you go.
What about the second one? And the wave, and just took me up there, and that was the sun.
Well, again, that's part of it. So in other words, this is the new wave. The new wave is, and I'm going to do a little definition here. And that is that at the time that Paul was here, the idea was the rod of power, okay? And that started things off. Well, the new wave is not the rod of power, okay? The new wave is the isness life is. And so the rod of power had its time. It still exists. You might say it's in the background. But what you're experiencing is the new wave, and what we're doing, yes, what is taking place now. And you're part of that because, again, that's where the board and your vehicle, your form, you're part of that because you're the water too. See, so you're part of this new wave. And that new wave is the isness. It's the all is. It is not the rod of power. It has nothing to do with that because that's in creation. The new wave is the isness from the real universes. So you're part of that, and that's the experience you're having. There you go. And so you and the personal self are confirming this. You see, it's confirming it to you. All is. See, so everything's copacetic.
Okay, Wayne. Thank you. That's wonderful.